Welcome, foolish mortals. A Likely Story proudly presents a Halloween book chat. Tonight we're going to talk about the books that go bump in the night. The books that make the hair on the back of your neck stand on end. We'll talk about the books that make you forget you're supposed to run out the front door instead of going up the stairs. Ready, boys and ghouls? Then let's get started. Lights!
I love you, but you're really weird sometimes.
Well, I was just trying to lighten the mood, have a little Halloween fun. What have you got for us tonight?
So, have you ever sat around a campfire at home just, telling scary stories?
Absolutely.
Well, these are scary stories to tell in the dark. It's a set of 3 different books of short stories by Alvin Schwartz. These are great spooky stories for the whole family. Well, maybe 10 and up. Their read-alouds are great fun, and Schwartz draws heavily on legends and folklore and urban stories. He researched them extensively and spent more than a year writing each book. The Hearse Song, which is in the first book, is one of the stories about burial and human decomposition. It was a popular World War I song, and it had many variants of the titles. And the lyrics were generally features the line, "The worms crawl in, the worms crawl out." And I know a lot of you have heard that before. I remember my dad singing this to us as children, but then again, my dad would also read us The Raven by Poe as a bedtime story. Killer in the Back Seat's another great one that's included in the books. The story is, I remember this one from Girl Scouts sitting around the campfire. It actually began as an urban legend from the 1970s. There's a woman driving and being followed by a strange truck. The mysterious pursuer flashes his headlights at her, and sometimes he even rams her vehicle. She's scared to death, and she finally makes it home, and she realizes that the driver was actually trying to warn her that there was a man in the back seat of her car. Each time the man sat up to attack her, the driver used his high beams and flashed his high beams at him, and that the killer would duck back down. Of course, we all know what happens when she figures out that the driver of the car was trying to tell her. But I love sitting around telling these stories, and I guess I had a pretty morbid childhood because I enjoyed these so much. But why not pick up a scary story for you to read with your scary kids and have a Halloween read-aloud party? It would be a lot of fun.
One of the stories from his books has stuck with me to this day. There's a young girl who gets bit by an insect while she's camping, and she comes home and the bite gets bigger and bigger until it looks like a big pimple. And then she's looking in the mirror one day and it bursts open and tiny spiders start crawling out everywhere. It was an egg sac. I hate spiders, and that story always gives me the willies.
Oh, yeah.
So now that you're all grown up, though, what scares you now? What book have you read that sent chills up your spine?
The Snowman. We actually did The Snowman by Joe Nesbø for book club several years ago. This has stuck with me.
That was one of the first ones I did.
Was it? Yeah. Oh, okay. It stuck with me as one of the scariest crime novels that I have ever read. It could have been that I was alone at home. It was starting to snow. It was quiet. But regardless, this is truly a wonderful, scary story, and it's a heart-pounding novel. The Snowman has everything for a great storyline: fast-paced, imaginative character, great prose, all morphing together to produce a magnificent, on-your-edge-of-the-seat thriller. It's a Norwegian. Joe Nesbø is a Norwegian author. You won't know who to trust in this thriller. You won't. It's his 7th Norwegian thriller with Inspector Harry Hule. I think this particular novel is a good standalone. It doesn't have to be read in order of the series. Hule, for those who haven't read Joe Nesbø in the past, is a maverick who prefers to work alone and to play by his own rules. He struggles with alcohol, his personal life is a total mess, and he lives for his job. Detective Hule and his team are investigating a series of disappearances and subsequent murders. He thinks the women's disappearances are a very special serial killer who only strikes in the wintertime. As soon as he becomes embroiled into the deadly game of cat and mouse with this murderer, the murderer is deliberately taunting him by sending him letters, and he apparently the killer is dubbed the Snowman, hence the title. And a snowman is found outside the homes of these women after they're murdered. He is the only policeman in Norway to have ever dealt with a serial killer in the past, and now though that may have changed. The Snowman has a lot of twists and misdirections. In this case, I did predict who the villain was, but I changed my mind halfway through, and then again halfway through again. It was up and down the whole time. It kept me guessing right up to the end. I actually did my book blog on books that are being made into movies this past month, and Snowman's coming out October 20th, so it looks like we should have another staff movie night.
Oh, that's awesome. I really like this one too. The wave of Nordic noir crime novels that swept the literary world ever since The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo came out. They're so dark and atmospheric, you know. They're perfect for reading when it's, you know, cooler and the nights are longer. And like you said, you're home alone, it's quiet, it starts snowing.
Very scary.
I haven't read a bad one yet, so thanks, Debbie.
Thank you.
Speaking of things that I've read, about 2 years ago, I started hearing about this book. It was popping up on a lot of must-read lists, and it actually won the 2015 Bram Stoker Award for Superior Achievement in a Novel. I cleared some room at the top of my to-be-read list and gave A Head Full of Ghosts by Paul Tremblay a try. The book focuses on a family of four who begins to notice disturbing behavior from their oldest daughter, 14-year-old Marjorie. At first, they brush it off as Marjorie just acting out. However, as the parents become more frustrated with her behavior, her mother takes her to the doctor, and it is believed that Marjorie is showing early signs of schizophrenia. Her father, on the other hand, who has just lost his job, all the stress around the house has him ready to grasp at any straw, and he takes Marjorie to visit a priest who suggests she's actually possessed by a demon and needs an exorcism. One thing leads to another, and since they need the money, a reality TV crew is brought in to film the experience. The parents are tense since they're kind of at odds on how to deal with Marjorie, and her behavior puts everyone on edge as well. Meanwhile, the novel alternates between the family story, which seems to take place around the year 2000, and an interview with a best-selling writer and the family's youngest daughter, Mary, in 2015. Mary and Marjorie's family and their story has become the stuff of urban legends at this time, and she's decided to tell her side of the story since most people only know what they saw on the reality show. In telling her story, she's forced to relive painful memories and heartbreaking secrets until we, the reader, finally learn the tragic story behind her family's history. A Head Full of Ghosts is tragic, it's eerie, but most importantly, I feel it's relatable. The dynamic between the family members, especially the sisters, seems so real and natural that it made the unfolding events all the more upsetting. The tension that ran through the book was also very real, and admittedly, I jumped a few times when I heard the ice maker kick on in the fridge. Finally, the family may have ended up exploring Marjorie's possible mental illness, but I don't feel the author does so. In fact, the story is written in such a way that I'm still not 100% sure if Marjorie was actually possessed or suffered from an untreated mental illness. The book can fit into both the psychological thriller and supernatural horror genres, and it would be great for fans of The Exorcism or the better seasons of American Horror Story. It's a story that will stay with you, possess you even. Courtney, why don't we give the good people one last scare?
Don't mind if I do. Written in simple, clear, almost surgical language by prosecutor Vincent Bugliosi, Helter, Skelter demands the reader's full attention while it leads them right into the hell of one of the most infamous evil minds, Charles Manson. The writing was vivid, gripping, and graphically painted pictures that I would just as soon forget. The fear during that time of the Manson family was real. The tension of the police and the civilians was real. Knowing that the horrors that took place at the ranch and the terror of the creeping of the days and weeks leading up to the murders was horrifying. It reads almost like fiction, but at the back of your mind, you always know it's nonfiction. Awarded the Edgar Allan Poe Award for Best Crime Novel in 1975, Helter Skelter is truly a horror story. So read it at your own risk. I made it even more terrifying by taking on this book while sitting at home alone in a new house with new sounds that I had no idea what they were. This book has stuck with me ever since I read it over a decade ago, and the Beatles' White Album I can't listen to anymore.
Real and truly evil horrors, and it ruined the Beatles for you? I think you just won the scariest book contest.
Yes.
Well, here we are again at the end of another book chat. We hope you found this video helpful. Stop in to pick up any of the titles you've heard about today, as well as check out our other staff picks and get more recommendations. While you're here, make sure you sign up for our frequent shopper program, as well as our email list, to stay up to date with all of our upcoming events and author visits. Be sure to join us October 26th for Trick or Treat on Main Street and pick up your favorite scary story. You can always check out our website for more info on what the staff is reading and what the store's book club is reading at www.sykesvillebooks.com. Thanks for watching, and remember to leave the lights on until next time.